what we're going to do now is I'll invite these guys up to the stage. Why don't you guys come on up? We're going to do this in a kind of a different fashion than the normal sessions we do. I've designated it as a PowerPoint free zone, but I think we have at least 1 or 2 slides at some point that snuck in. But essentially what we're going to do is a number of live demos with an iPad screen that's mirrored through Apple TV, through kind of an AirPlay situation. So you'll see us kind of fumbling in between these transitions to kind of go from device to device. But the idea is really to show some live walkthroughs of some of these products and talk about what the positioning is, why things are the way they are. So we're going to start with Anthony of vSplash. Why don't you first kind of say a few words about vSplash for those unfamiliar. We'll go into your demo and we'll have a dialogue about what you're doing.
Great. Limited fumbling. So
that was good.
Thanks. It didn't twist. My name is Anthony Brady, and I manage business development for vSplash. And we have a predictive analytics tool called BuzzBoard. And the goal of BuzzBoard is to help the sales reps figure out who to sell to, what to sell to them, and then walk it through into the fulfillment process. And then as the tool continues to get smarter, it continues to show the sales reps where the opportunities lie across the market base. So before we get into the demo and walk through it with Mike, what I'm going to do is I'll give you a quick overview, basically by the sales rep, by one of our typical sales reps in a very large newspaper in a large market. Sound would be great.
We might need to start it over. They're working on the sound. We'll get that down, but if you want to start over. Actually, while this is happening, and while we wait for the sound to kick in, I should mention, for housekeeping, we have a whole beer station up here. Anyone at any point, please, it's free. You can tip me, but it's free. And just grab a beer, go back to your seat, and enjoy some of these demos. I'll probably grab one in a second, too. So I encourage you to, it's some local beer, too, local Austin brewery. So we encourage you to start drinking. It's like that line in Animal House. My advice to you, start drinking heavily.
So before we try it again, this is a premise sales rep, and it's used inside and outside in the field, and it's an iPad app or web-based. So this is a traditional newspaper sales rep that also sells digital. Should we try again?
Let's try again. I think I heard some audio.
He loves BuzzBoard. He says it's great. And
you can just talk over him if you know the video well enough. I'm just kidding.
All right. It's done?
Okay. Audio's not going to work. That's okay. Well, what's the gist of his kind of testimonial there?
So what the sales rep walked through was he took a traditional customer where he had to be able to position himself very quickly across the customer, show it has a whole set of different products to be able to sell. So he was able to position his products differently than the 30 or 40 other calls that customer got throughout the course of the week. And he was able to make a $500 sale on a monthly basis within 2 calls for the close. And then he thanks BuzzBoard and he continues to use it. So what you're now looking at is a view from the iPad of a typical rep in the market. And what you'll see is that the customers and or prospects. It's integrated with all the major CRMs, whether it's Salesforce or Sugar or in-house brands. But they're given 2 scores. One is a score says it's their buzz feed. That says based on a score of 0 to 100, what does their digital and as well as their print profile look like based upon the products that the newspaper or the directory or the pure play are selling. And then in addition to that, it identifies the dollar amount and the opportunity that the sales rep should be leading with. So it takes the complexity out of who do I go and sell to, and then what products do I lead with. And one of the biggest challenges that our customers have is that the sales reps have to learn the new products and figure out which ones to position to each of the customers. So within 2 minutes, what we do is we create an audit. And there's thousands of tools out there and site graders, and they provide data. But what they don't do is they don't help the customers and the sales reps engage. So BuzzBoard is truly an engagement tool that within those first couple of minutes of engaging with the customer, they're able to show them something new that piques their interest and helps keep them being able to talk to the customer. So for instance, instead of saying you have a mobile website or you're indexed across the search engines or where you are from a listings perspective, you take the huddle factor that the iPad has and you click on it. And you say, Mr. Customer, here's what your website looks like from a mobile perspective. Or Mr. Customer, we noticed that you have a Google page, and you've claimed it, here's what it looks like. Typically, customers that haven't claimed their Google page, they have lots of reviews on there that are not necessarily positive and they haven't read them, or the information is wrong, especially from a listings management perspective. And lastly, they can engage with the customer to talk about what their Facebook page looks like.
Now, are users of Buzzboard, when they're on a sales call, armed with an iPad or similar to basically be able to do some of these things like in a demonstrative sense?
So they can walk through it exactly like this, either on their iPad or a desktop.
Or a desktop that might be in the sales targets, office.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
But at the same time, they walk through their SEO campaigns while they're there and what some of the primary keywords are, so they can do it on the fly instead of going back to the office, as well as walk through what their pay-per-click campaigns are, whether they have an AdWord campaign, what some of the recommended keywords are, maybe who their top ads or their competitors are. So what you're doing is you're enabling the sales rep to be able to have an engaging conversation, not just pitch the products that they want to pitch, but talk about the products that they want the customers to see.
And the monetary value of that opportunity kind of automatically put in front of them. I think that's a cool feature.
Yes. Well, at the same time, you're able to give the customer something that's actionable, that's not driven by the product. So what we have here is a basic audit that you deliver to the customer, and it's tracked. And one of the earlier conversations today was really about how Salesforce tracks proposals that go out and how many calls that are made or dials that are made. And actually the statement was made, I think, by one of the panelists that you can't track that in the outside field. Everything is tracked here. So every time a sales rep pulls an audit, basically 450 data points are pulled. So we're able to figure out which sales reps will be more successful in the marketplace, and we're able to figure out which customers will have the higher propensity to buy. As you walk through the sales process with the customer, it also points out who their competitors are. And if they wanted to be able to add a new competitor, within 1 minute you're able to add a set of competitors in the market, so the sales rep can walk through that process of, I know you want to buy this because your competitors are doing better than you.
Here's how to one-up them?
Here's how to one-up them.
Right.
And at the same time, once the sales rep is done, the minute that they walk out of the office, they can just double tap on it and it converts it to a lead for them. And once a sales rep sells a set of customers or converts a set of customers to leads, then we're able to feed those back into the tool because they have a higher propensity to buy. So we've taken all of the best sales tools and capabilities that are supposed to be in one spot and we put them there. One other thing I didn't mention before, when you're in the middle of the sales process, you don't want to lose that momentum with the customer and go pull a presentation out or really hope and pray that you have that the right presentation from the marketing team. So we've built in all their collateral management. So you can click onto the tool and see the latest presentation and then email it to the customer. And every time the customer opens it, emails it, or sends it to somebody else, you're able to track that. So you know exactly when they're interested. All that comes out to, we generate a proposal. And after you generate the proposal with the customer, it can go automatically into your fulfillment process and onto the billing. So the sales reps don't need to go back to the office and customize a proposal. They can generate the proposal on the fly. So the goal of the tool is to be a sales companion, help support the sales rep through it. Everything is tracked from a management perspective, so you know what your sales reps are talking about, what presentations they're using, what they're pitching. And then even simple things from a sales rep's perspective, they can plot their favorites or the accounts that they're working with. And so here's a set that we went through in Austin this morning and see where their customers lie and kind of map it. Customers like this also because they can also see where their competitors are relative to the competition.
Nice. So, and to what degree is this customized for any given kind of sales force that adopts it? Is it depending on the size of that relationship that you have with them, or is it more or less white labeled?
So many of the large newspapers, directories, they have regional sales organizations, right? So everything is customized from a white label perspective.
Sure.
So whether it's the Buzzboard component that's up there, or the specific products are loaded in. So these are not V-Splashes or Buzzboard products.
Right.
These are products that are, obviously for the newspaper or the directory that's selling.
Whatever their suite of products look like for the competitive matrix that you showed earlier.
Right.
That's interesting.
So from a support perspective, we have an SLA in place where we respond to all questions that come back within 24 hours. Typically that's 8 hours.
Sure.
So if you're going out to a customer appointment, it's really important to make sure you have that feedback.
Sure.
And to be able to support that through. And one unique thing is that we have training every day. So the sales reps can dial in and get the specific training on the tool to drive adoption. The key to this tool is driving adoption, make sure the sales reps use it. We have, within 60 days, a 50x ROI in multiple markets with 25 or more sales reps using the tool. And they are traditional print sales reps. Print sales reps selling print and digital, and they've crossed the line on the newspaper space of they're growing their print, they're growing their digital greater than their print. So we have a 50x ROI in the marketplace today with case studies that we can walk through.
That could also say a great deal about the simplicity of the product, that it's a high adoption curve for print reps. Just
because you can load your print products in, so they automatically come in. And what you're looking at now, this is the tutorial. So it's the key to the tool is getting reps to want to use it, and we're putting data in there that makes the reps relevant. But if they have a question, it shouldn't be hard to figure it out. So we've put an overlay tutorial onto it so that they can go in there and answer their questions.
Now, what are some of the attributes of a given business that this is unearthing or exposing that is usually kind of the aha moment for a lot of reps, where it's something they couldn't have found on their own? I mean, what are the hidden things that it's really, the gems that it's finding that you find that they usually get excited about?
So we have many examples, like that testimonial would tell you. So we got a couple of really good examples recently. We had a customer that went up to a major outlet center. So typical outlet centers where they have all those 25 different retail chains in there, and the customer is spending $25,000, $30,000 a month with their digital agency that they're using.
Sure.
And this is a traditional newspaper sales rep.
Yeah.
The customer said, "We absolutely have a mobile site. You should guys just leave. I've got it all taken care of. We have a mobile site." The sales rep clicked on that button for the mobile site, and without any question, it wasn't right.
Yeah.
Then it was actually a desktop site. It rendered really bad on the iPhone and the Samsung, and you could test both devices. And then the long story short is the newspaper rep got the second appointment, and now they sold a responsive site off the truck.
Yeah.
And it will sell SEO and SEM. So that's one. It sounds really silly, but customers haven't looked at what their sites look like from a mobile perspective.
And the answer to that question, when you ask a lot of businesses, do you have a mobile site, their perception that they do is often wrong, because yes, they can pull it up on their iPhone, but that's just their desktop site. They're not really thinking that there's more that should be done there.
This customer had a completely different expectation.
Yeah,
the other really good one that helped make us win another large newspaper group is the sales reps went out there and they were trying to sell SEM. And the SEM had a large campaign greater than $5,000 a month with one of the pure play competitors. The simple piece of, did you have a local phone number? The customer didn't have a phone number on the landing page, and they were spending $5,000 a month for SEM. And that rep couldn't get the appointment before, but because they showed it with Buzzboard, they were able to get it. So we have hundreds of testimonials from the sales reps that are using it. We're in 28 markets around the world today. The amount of data and the predictive analytics that we're picking up from it, we lead with the tool. Our sales reps that use the tool love the tool. That's our strategy. As they continue to love the tool, then we work with our customers on providing data and more in analytics. You can find more of the data at Digitalscape Info. We have a couple of our infographics there out at the desk that show how we're trying to verticalize a lot of the activity in here. Instead of selling horizontally SEO or SEM or websites, our goal is to help enable the sales teams to sell vertically. And so if of the 25 million businesses that we have profiled, I know I'm over my time.
It's quite all right.
5 million websites that we've analyzed vertically and put them in the same verticals as Google. So now if your sales reps sell, let's say, a dozen plumbers in a week that start off with a profile, we're able to give them the other ones. But you can also build your offers custom to that. And now your sales reps are selling something relevant instead of just a product.
Nice. So it sounds like a powerful tool. Your video that we weren't able to see, is that available on your website, or is that something that everyone could check out in time?
It will be available on the website.
Okay.
If it's not now, it will be. But
good.
Thank you very much.
Join me in thanking Anthony. Now we're going to go over to Gideon. And Anthony, if you could jump off the AirPlay so I can...
It was going to jump off the stage.
Yeah, I'll also do that.
It's hot over there. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Yep, that should do it. There we go. So let's get over to your demo.
Should be good.
There you go.
Okay.
And you can introduce yourself as well and Local Market Launch.
Sure. My name is Gideon Rubin. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Local Market Launch. We are in the business of business profile creation and management. Our entire business is around creating optimized, enhanced, and verified profiles across the web to increase the local visibility of a business. So whether that we talk about findability as kind of the word we use. So we don't care whether the consumer is doing a search on the desktop on Google at their office or GPS device in their car or an app on their phone. We also don't focus very much on what the newest, hottest app is, because we work with base data providers, syndication companies like Factual, Info Group, Localese, and the fourth one.
Info USA?
Info Group. Yeah.
Info Group, yeah.
Yeah. So
What used to be Info USA. You said Info Group, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so we push out their business data, this enhanced verified data, to all these syndication providers, in addition to the top 30. We work with the top 30 search, social, directory, and mobile app sites, or properties, because it's a very general statement. But in addition, we work down different vertical paths as well. So there's a lot of other directories in our world. So what I'm going to show is really just a dashboard that we use, that we work with. There's several different dashboards, actually. But I'll show a couple of them. Just by show of hands, who here is entirely, well, I shouldn't say entirely, their main focus is SMBs? How about national brands or regional brands? Okay, so it's pretty much SMBs. Okay, so I'm going to focus on that area because we really work in both. So what you're seeing right now is a map of the U.S. This is a client, a partner dashboard. So this is what the partner sees when they work with us. They get a significant amount of granular detail, and so looking at this map here, you can see their concentration for this particular partner, and you can zoom in and do searches. But so across the top here, you have orders. That's great. You can see the flow of what's going on. But I'm just going to pick one of these. I happen to notice this particular partner. This particular end client, the gift horse saddlery. Since we're in Texas, that sounds kind of relevant. What I'm going to open up here, again, this is the partner view, so they get every little detail of granularity. And so this is what was supplied by the partner or the end client. And you can see there's some data here. If you look very closely, you can see there's some issues with some of the data. And then you look at what we do to the data, and this is after we've worked on it. And as you can see, there are multiple descriptions, there are more photos and more information there. And then if you come down here, so this is directory status. So they can look at each individual directory, the partner. Those little, the top color codes, the green, yellow, blue, indicates how far along that particular individual client is. And then you look at the different hash marks, and that shows activity that happened, and there's actually dates associated with that. And then if you look at the directories on the left side, you saw from the vSplash demo a minute ago some diving into individual directories, but since this is our entire business, we get very granular with this. So you can see description, hours of operation, website, then you can see an activity log of what's going on our side and where it is for all the major directories for this particular client. And I'm going to jump from here actually into an individual client dashboard. So this client dashboard, it's very interesting because we have partners that do everything from use this and we power their dashboard to work with us via API to sending the client over to us and CNAMing it and all different variations in between. But as many of you know, we don't consider ourselves selling an SEO product because we focus on LSO, which is local search optimization, which is a little different. We're not entirely focused on rankings, although we do have a significant impact in rankings with our business. And selling any service along those lines, SEO, it's all about communicating the value proposition to the end customer. Why are they paying you month after month? That's the questions that I'm sure a lot of you get asked. And so that's what we focus this dashboard around. So this dashboard, if you look at the top right here, there's this September little button. That's showing you the way this account looks right now. So this Holiday Inn Express LeClaire, and then you can see on the right side here directory prominence. They've got 113 directory citations. A lot of this is from our work. A lot of this is through syndication or the direct claiming. And then you look over the left here and you say the business name. How well are they ranking for their business name? And how well are they ranking for other category keywords? And I can actually drill down here. Oops. This iPad zooming thing. And you can see, how they rank on the major search engines, Google, and then, the local version of each individual Yahoo, Google, Bing. And so, again, we don't sell our product as a search engine ranking product, but it does have significant impact there, so that is part of the value proposition. And so the reason why I showed that to you and zoomed in there is because now I want to show you, going back in time, the customer can actually see where they were at. So let's try, May here, May 8th. Give it a second. So here you can see they had 44 directory citations at that point, and they didn't have as good of rankings on their keyword as well as on their category. And if you scroll down, again, this goes back to the directories, but this is the client view, so there's less detail. But you can see there's a lot of red X's there, and it's a mix of some green checks and some red X's across these different directories. Oh, okay. And then if I click forward here, let's say sometime in June. So it's going to reload, and it's going to show you a snapshot of what this business looked like in June. So in June, they were doing better with their search ranking status. They are doing better with their citations, their directory prominence. And it's really neat here because I can drill into individual types of directories. So at that time, they had 11 for niche directories and 3 for general directories, and local directories they had 5. And you can just drill into each type of directory, and they can see how it's progressing over time. And if you look down here with the green checks and the red X's, you can see there's some improvement there, but it's not totally completed because it takes time for all this stuff to work its way through the internet and for the data to be corrected over time. And then back to the August snapshot here. And you can see there's many more citations, and now their rankings have increased across the board. And when I scroll down here, you can see a lot more green checks because they've progressed and their local visibility has improved significantly. I'm going to show one quick other piece to this, which is an audit. We do have SMB audits, so we have tools for SMBs through our partners to work with to run a real-time audit on their account and see what their location looks like across all these the directories and all the sites we work with. But this one happens to be for a national brand because this one, once you go with a national brand or a multi-location business, you can roll it up. And that's great in the sales process to try to convince them why you need it. It's one thing for an SMB to look, and it's fairly easy for them to look themselves and see how they appear on these different directories. But for anyone with multiple locations, it gets much more difficult to look into that. And so if you see, Google present, in this particular case, 98% of the time, out of those 98, 71% complete, and you can see they're doing pretty well on Google, Bing, Yahoo. Although Yahoo, they're doing a good job of being present, but a poor job at completing the profiles and fully enhancing them. And that's the last opportunity you have in search to actually show up in results. A lot of the search engines and directories work very hard to improve their algorithms, but the amount of investment they have to make to improve that, to get better results, is significant versus the amount of investment that we make to enhance the data, to make sure that they have the correct keywords, categories, they have written descriptions, they have photos and hours of operation, all these little details, make sure they show up in results. And that's very impactful. And so it's significant and important for them to have all that accurate information. And then here, I just closed it. But here you can see the other directories that we work with. And in this particular case, it's very interesting, and some of you may be seeing this trend, but in this particular case, they have one Facebook page probably, because that's all they want, versus one for every location.
Gideon, what are the percentages really quick? Is it geographic footprint like the multi-location businesses, or in these cases it's 65.7 for MapQuest? That means the completeness of their information, or is it the footprint that they have geographically?
So the top number is presence. Do they exist at all? Are they on the directory? The second number is completeness. When they do exist, is
Sure.
it just name, address, phone number, or it has other details?
Sure, okay.
Like photos and other main details. It's not, like hours of operation isn't included in that,
Sure.
but business description is,
Sure.
name, address, phone
No, I
number.
get the completeness, but presence, wouldn't it be binary? Either you are or you're not. Why is it, what is the 65.7?
Oh yeah, that's because it's multi-location.
Okay, got it.
100 locations, 50 of them are on it, 50%.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's just an example here, but again, we do run this for individual businesses, and we have a lot of that set up, and it's very exciting stuff.
Yeah, so one of the cool things I think about this is everything you just saw is actually browser-based, so I think that probably makes it more accessible. You're not fragmented by different app stores and different devices, and I think similar to what we heard from Anthony and what we're going to hear from some of the other members here is the accessibility in the field. So you're finding that's a kind of a boon for your product, and you find a lot of people are using it on the go as opposed to desktop, if you can tell,
Yeah, it's definitely very powerful. The thing that's very interesting for us, again, because we only sell through partners, is accessibility has a whole different meaning, right?
Sure.
Because it's great when they're using an iPad in the field. We can power that. We can power that ourselves this way.
Yep.
And we can brand it as them. But the complexity comes in when they have their own systems in place and their
Sure.
own dashboards, and then we can API to them, or we can widgetize. So we're just one tab. So we run a visibility report, and we're the fix-it button. When they see how
There you
poor
go.
their results are, there's a fix-it button right there. It's a revenue opportunity for them and a revenue opportunity for us.
And with your partners, are you doing more of the kind of the latter that you mentioned, where it's an API integration versus a kind of full-fledged implementation?
Yeah, it's typically an evolution.
Sure,
really.
sure,
So
right.
we start out with something easy to do. Let's just get something started.
Yeah.
And we kind of test it and pilot it. And then once we go down the road, API, well, or some variation of that is I think in everyone's best interest. It's just obviously
Sure.
there's technical investment there on both sides, so
Sure
everyone wants
there
to
is.
make sure it's worthwhile.
But the flexibility to do all the above, I think, is a mark of of good things for your business. So any last words before we move on to Alf?
No, I mean, I think, like I said, we're entirely focused in this business listings management space. It's a very messy space. We pride ourselves on very high quality results. Working with SMBs, we know, if you get it right 80% of the time, that's probably not enough, because those 20% of those businesses are going to be calling you and complaining and having issues. So we work really hard to do a great job all the time.
That's great.
All right.
Yeah. Join me in thanking Gideon. We're going to move on to Alf now. I'll remind everyone, grab a beer if you want one. We have about 25 minutes. Yep, we're going to use my phone. We have about 25 minutes left for these last two guys here. So while I'm doing this, you want to tell everyone?
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you guys a little bit about Agendize. First of all, we're a provider of a suite of online conversion tools. That means tools that small businesses use when people land on their websites to engage the consumer that's looking for information. So rather than just getting to a website that's got basic information, maybe a phone number on it, we give them the ability to use forms, click to call, online appointment scheduling, call tracking, other features, things that can really help them engage with the audience and do what you need to do, which is have some kind of lead conversion and lead scoring. And we're going to show you a quick demonstration on an iPhone today, because this is really where we're seeing a lot of the activity. I'm going to get one of my members of staff who comes from our marketing team to walk through this, so it's less contrived, so you can see how easy it is to use. He's not as familiar with the usability of the application as I am.
And if we can go to the Apple TV input on the, you already have it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we already have it.
We're looking at the wrong
live
screen.
up here, we're not live down there.
There you go. Go ahead, Alf. I'm sorry.
I'm going to talk to you quickly about the online scheduling, which is one area in particular that is growing for us. And Agendize doesn't sell direct to market, okay? We work through reseller networks, which include ISP and hosting companies, digital agencies, digital directory publishers, et cetera, et cetera. So we work with folks like you guys in the room who sell on our behalf. We're a private labeled platform. Currently, online scheduling is a huge growth area for us. We're booking millions of appointments for your small business advertisers through our platform. And I want to take you through one thing that we did this year with our iPhone or with our mobile application. Not for this side of it you're seeing, because Davey's starting to walk us through picking a service that can be booked by a consumer. but rather for the next stage, which is really the back end of it. Okay, so we built an application for the small business user, which allows them to manage their appointments in their calendar from their phone. And this has been significant for us. Typically, we've seen the small business go into our dashboard, which is a larger product. Davey's just going to log in. And because we've been able to simplify the actions down to the critical functions in a cell phone, we've seen the usage jump considerably to the point where, since launching this, now 90% of the small business activity is through the phone application. And again, this is web technologies. This is not an app, so it's agnostic to the particular device. While we're waiting for him to log in quickly. Okay, we'll show you simply what we've done for the customers, okay? We've set them up really with just two views, okay? One is the calendar, the appointments they've got. The other one is their CRM, it's their client list, okay? From within there, they also have the ability to add an appointment in case they take a phone call rather than it coming through their website, and the ability to add a client as well. And he's having some fun with the timeout and the login there.
I just memorized the password.
Okay.
I guess it was the wrong password I memorized, though.
Let's try again. Good, when we get our passwords figured out.
So while he's doing that, I'll ask,
the reason this is important for us while he's putting that in is, what we did was we took a long, hard look at this particular function, and we decided, okay, how are we going to make this simple for the small business user? Because if we have a complicated UI, he's not going to use it. So, rather like you see with a lot of applications, we had to distill what were the important functions for him rather than giving him access to everything. Okay, so we just gave him the calendar, we gave him the ability to reach his client list. So when we actually figure out the login, we'll be able to show you. These are the critical functions he needs if he's in the field. Okay, the ability to see the calendar, accept appointments, add new appointments if he takes a phone call for an appointment, and the ability to email that customer. But at this point, if you can't get in, I'd. Do you want to?
Well, I was going to say,
I'm waiting for him to catch up so I can show on the screen what's relevant to the words.
I was going to say, I think a theme is emerging here, and I think that you represent that theme well in being kind of mobile first, as they say, and also the accessibility in the field that we saw from some of these gentlemen. The demo itself is run off of an iPhone, and that's kind of what you're showing as really the primary touch point.
Yep. Yeah, and it would have been nice to have shown that primary touch point. But it's for us. It's been really important to see this, and we built this this mobile-based service for the small businesses, not with an expectation that it would get used to the extent that it did. We built it because we thought it was an important statement in the marketplace that we have access to a mobile version for people, and we also built it because we believe that SMBs would eventually migrate there. To see 90% of the activity move within, weeks of launching it, caught us off guard.
Right. Now, do you have any data that you're allowed to disclose on kind of the access point you're seeing from your SMB customers, whether it's desktop, mobile, tablet, or anything like that kind of affirms that this is the direction you should be in?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it also, for us, it's been interesting to see the types of businesses that are doing it. Obviously, we're seeing hairdressing salons, pest control, people who are really, either away from a computer or are out in the field as part of their work that are making, such heavy use of this mobile. If people are in a hotel or a restaurant, we still see the typical. Excellent, you got it up.
You're up.
So we still see the typical usage through the desktop client, but for the folks that really are mainstay of the community of advertisers, they're using this, and this is the way that they're running their businesses in terms of managing their appointments and managing their client base.
Now, is that a design challenge in terms of not just having it be accessible by mobile, but the different features that you want to have surface, and you have limited real estate, obviously, and things like that?
And this is something that we need to embrace. I had a couple of product managers internally that are used to filling a screen this big. okay, and they're crying and they're fussing over exactly what functions we need to put in there, okay? The beauty of this was they only had a screen that big, okay? And if you give a product guy, no matter who they are, whether they work for Agendize or they work at a large Yellow Pages publisher or a newspaper, they've got to fill screen real estate. The less screen real estate you give them, the more concise the function will be. So we had to boil this down just to two pieces of function. One was the calendar, which is obviously what's driving the appointment management, and the other one was the list of clients. That was it. We had a lot of disputes internally. We need more, and if we click on the little settings button, technically they got access to the entire back office. They can do it all from their phone. Guess what? Less than 5% use it. Okay? But 90% of the SMB interaction, and we book millions of appointments for our reseller partners through our platform, is going on through that first screen. Just the calendar and the client list. That's all the customer's interested in. So, and it's been surprising for us as well.
Has that varied by vertical? And are there certain things in certain verticals where maybe appointments is higher, calendar is higher, or some of the other functions that you would consider, in some way customizing it in certain ways to different needs of different types of businesses?
Definitely. I mean, I mentioned hotels. That's one. I mean, you can't expect a hotel or a restaurant with 25 tables, to start managing it from a phone. They're going to stick very much with their point of sale system that they have. So, but typically, if anybody's away from a computer, or they're a field engineer or something like that, this is the way that we found they prefer to use it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's an important lesson for all of us here, is because this wasn't built with this kind of intention of outrageous success. This was built because mobile was important to us. We felt like we had to be doing something. But because we don't touch our customers, remember, our customers are you guys in the room who resell. Okay, we don't get to meet the small businesses that use our software. Okay, we work with agencies and, as I said, newspapers, large directory publishers, and they sell. So we don't get to meet them. So to have done something like this and to see such an overwhelming impact with it, for us, we felt was worth sharing.
Any evidence that this has opened up some new segments or verticals for you in terms of, ones that might be more or less conducive to mobile, and having this is a boon towards kind of growing business in those sectors?
That's an interesting question, and one I can't answer because I haven't really taken a look at it from that perspective. Yeah. We see, right the way across the board, we see regional variations.
Sure.
Because obviously we're operating globally.
Yep.
Our service is sold in more than 20 countries, and in multiple languages. So. Now, we see regional variations, but in terms of industries, I couldn't speak to anything.
And you're already kind of across the board, even in your legacy business on the desktop and everything you've been doing for a while, kind of a wide variance of the SMB population, correct? Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And I think what you're seeing here is, all the consumer convenience that we all have on our phones when we're not doing work, taking some of that and putting it into a work application means that, it's not just about them using it more. There's more engagement in the back office, and there's a huge shift over to mobile. It's the fact that there's less support calls coming in, and we're the second line of defense, right? Versus you guys who sell direct to the customer are the first line of defense. You're getting less calls, we're getting less calls from you, because this just works. People know how to do it once they get past the login. It's very simple, it's very intuitive, and people like poking buttons and seeing things happen. They don't like going through list views with a mouse, trying to navigate their way through a whole screen of functionality. And that's why it's been successful for us.
Yeah, I for one like the simplicity. I'm big on kind of UI and design, and I think this is done well. So unless you have any other final words, join me in thanking Alf.
Thank you.
And now we're going to go over to Chris from Reply. Chris, I'll let you introduce yourself and go from there.
Yeah, is my mic on? Okay, great. My name is Chris Mancini. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Reply. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight into what we do at Reply, we are one of the largest online marketplaces where local advertisers can come and buy traffic. They buy that traffic in many different formats from us. Right now, the two most popular formats are what we call an enhanced click, or also we sell qualified leads. And what we allow the local advertiser to do is to come into our marketplace and bid on the traffic that we generate. So they can come in, name their own price, how much they're looking to pay for a click or how much they're looking to pay for a qualified lead. And we then ultimately have auctions that go on throughout the day to determine, as we bring traffic into Reply, where do we then generate it. What happened as we introduced this a while ago is that we found that while it was very, very successful, we had large national companies bidding and coming in and buying that local traffic, because this was ultimately Google AdWords, but down to the zip code level. The clicks that we're selling, we call enhanced clicks. And that click is defined as something where someone comes in and they tell us what category they're looking for on the consumer side, and then they place or basically enter in their zip code. And so at that point, a lot of the large national folks were coming in and saying, look, we want to buy this local traffic. It makes a ton of sense. Reply can give us that, and we have the ability to bid on it. So we really wanted to get onto the local side because we knew that that market was huge. We had some local folks that were using our system, but not as many as we thought should be. So what we've now done is we've introduced a product called Reply's Local Marketer. And what that does is it is a simple, fail-safe way, in our opinion, for the local advertiser, the pure SMB, to come in and take advantage of our marketplace. And what we've done is really simplified it so that they can come in, they can sign up, they can tell us how much money they want to pay for the traffic that they're looking to get, and they don't have to worry about anything else. Reply will generate the traffic through the way that we do it. They pay for it the way that they want to pay for it, and they basically determine whether or not it's a good ROI for them. So what I'm going to demo here is just the sign-up process to show how simple we've tried to make it. We talked about it internally as we looked at this, as we wanted it to really be anyone that has a Facebook page should be able to sign up and do this. And so what we've done is we've taken a complex sort of sign-up process and tried to simplify it down into 4 steps here. And what will happen first is that the advertiser obviously has to come in and enter in their contact information. And then the next step is just to tell us a little bit about their business so that we understand the name of the business, the street address, and obviously the zip code of where they're located. This design, we put a lot of thought into this design. We wanted to make it look, or I wanted to make it look extremely pretty, but at the same time we wanted to make it look simple. And these flips that you're seeing, we really made these flips happen because what we've done is turn something that can be multiple steps into something that looks like 4 steps. What the advertiser is doing here now is they're telling us that they're interested in HVAC, and they're telling us that now they can tell us where they want to buy the traffic from. So they can either do it on a mile radius from their location, or if they like, they can click and they can choose more advanced. And we tried to do an a UI here that again was fairly simple, stupid, where they could click on what they wanted to do and move forward. We then allow them to name the price that they want to pay per lead. And what we've done is we've suggested prices. Those suggested prices are prices that we know will get them a good volume of leads within our system, but they can adjust that at any time. And they can also set weekly amounts of money that they want to spend with us. We did that so that in our research, we found that a lot of the local advertisers were telling us that they'd signed up with the big lead generators in the past, or they'd done some stuff with Google AdWords, but they were really put off by the large contract sizes that they needed to sign. They didn't like the fact that the pricing was set. It had to be $50 a lead or $30 a lead. They didn't like the fact that they were really tied into something. And so what we've done here is we've given them complete flexibility. They can really do exactly what they want at the pace that they want to do it until they determine whether or not it's an effective ROI for them. After they sign up and they give us their credit card, we obviously have them choose a password. That password then gives them access to the dashboard within Reply's Local Marketer. And what I'll do after we get through this is just show you all what the dashboard does. Not only did we want to give folks access to the traffic, but we knew that a lot of small, medium businesses didn't necessarily, when they were buying traffic, whether it be on a lead basis or a click basis, they didn't necessarily know what to do with those leads. They needed a simple way to track the leads that they were getting into their system. And so what we built, in our opinion, is a really pared down dashboard, or CRM for a lack of a better word, but we like to call it a dashboard because quite honestly, we think that some folks don't even know what CRM stands for. And that's not a good or bad thing. It just means that they don't necessarily know that it means customer relationship manager. And I hope that's what it means, because if it doesn't, then I'm off. But at the end of the day, they needed something that allowed them to track what they were doing and be able to do it in a simple way. And so what I'm going to do right now is pull over our version of the dashboard. This is what happens when someone comes into the system. And when they first come into the system, ultimately, if they're a user that has been in the system for a while, their reminders of what they have set to do with their leads pop up on the screen, and they can look at those. But more importantly, the main dashboard, again, we wanted to keep it simple and beautiful. So we have the number of leads that they have within their system, the number of reminders that are set. We give them the ability to do social sharing and to earn credits so that they can share this with other businesses that we feel, or that they feel would be really beneficial to use the system. And then they can also track their performance. So taking a look here at just the leads, again, we give them an area where they can view all the leads that they have. If they're doing this on their mobile phone, this is mobile optimized. If they're doing it on this mobile phone, they can click to either call the lead immediately or to email the lead immediately, but they can click into the lead and see more details. And from there, again, we wanted to give them everything that they needed, but not too much. We didn't want to introduce things like, this is an opportunity, which then turns into a lead, which then turns into a prospect. It was very complicated. Here's your contact information, here's the details about the lead, and here are any notes that you may have on it. We wanted to make the whole thing really easy for them to add a note if they needed to add a note, and it would all be there really simple for them to basically get at. Additionally, social sharing in our minds was something that was really important to kind of gamify it. Hey, if you share this with other local businesses, we'll give you $50 credit within the system. And so basically they can share it on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, email, and we really wanted to promote that, and we will in later versions of this gamify it even more so that folks can really get as much as they can out of the system. There's also performance, so we will be pulling in statistics based on how they rank those leads. And again, a pretty simple way where they can, as they set the status of the lead as to whether or not they've talked to it or they've set an appointment or whatnot, it'll all be captured in this dashboard, and they can take a look and track their ROI. We'll also be tracking their ROI, and on the main page, we'll tell them how they're doing on their performance. And we are giving seminars and whatnot to the folks to help them learn how to address leads better. The biggest thing that we realized, and my background, I used to be at a company called Quinn Street, which is a pretty large lead generation company, and we kind of paved the way in sort of introducing lead gen. What we realized there was, and here at Reply, is that local folks should be using leads or enhanced clicks, but they've been scared away from it to some extent. This system is really set up to allow them not to be afraid of it, to name their own price, to pay as much money as they want to pay, and to do it at their own pace. And we're pretty excited about it. So that's basically it.
Now, you mentioned some of the kind of prescriptive elements of it, or seminars and things like that. One thing I was going to ask before that, and you may have answered it, but the ability to, coach people through it in kind of an on-the-fly basis. Like last month, I only got 2 calls. What can I do differently, or should I set my bid higher over here? That kind of iterative, what the data is telling me, and now what?
Yeah, so right now we have seminars, or basically webinars that are easy, sort of basic webinars, and then we have the advanced webinar. And so what we're doing in the advanced webinar is sort of taking real life examples and walking people through, again, in an automated fashion, walking people through, hey, this is Bob the builder, and Bob had 2 calls, but he didn't do this, that, or the other. We're also doing simple steps on how to follow follow up with leads, and what's the ROI that you should expect. And make sure that you don't bite off more than you can chew. Set a price that makes sense to you. We don't care how high or how small it is. We have a ton of traffic that's coming through our marketplace. We do over 1 million auctions a day in our marketplace. And we own and operate a site called Merchant Circle, which does 10 to 15 million unique visitors a month on the local basis. So we have the traffic. We just want to bring it to the SMB and let them take advantage of it just like the big guys do.
Now, is there any support component, which is, I guess, a similar version of the previous question, in terms of account representation or anything like that? Or, I mean, it would probably depend on the size of the account if you could do it and still preserve margin. But what does that look like in terms of support?
As far as support for the
end user who's
so almost all of the support in the beginning is going to be online. We're trying to make this as hands-off as possible so that the ROI for us is as good as it is for the end user. We have tested this with some local businesses, and we're finding it to be pretty simple for them to use, so we haven't been running into any issues, and we've been able to address those things in the webinars that we're setting up. If we need hands-on touch, then we will definitely do that, but the name of the game at first is just to say, hey, as much as we can be hands-off and make this as simple for the end user as possible, we want to do that.
Now, speaking of high touch, what about how you're selling this, the different ways? Is it primarily self-serve, or are you going through channels to kind of push it into the SMB space? There were some neat social sharing tools in there I saw. I bet there's some of that as well.
Yep, so we're kind of launching it in a tiered way. We obviously have a number of clients that we've worked with on the local basis in lead gen or on the enhanced click side that we're going back to and saying, hey, maybe rather than having your account rep, maybe you should be using this system.
Sure.
And those are the folks that we got through the system first that gave us a lot of feedback on the design and on the UI that we're setting up. But we're also, luckily, we're able to use Merchant Circle. We have 1.5 million SMBs that are members of Merchant Circle that have claimed their pages. And so we have a very detailed plan to go out to those folks, and as they are going through their dashboard on Merchant Circle, they can now take part in this. And so we're working it that way, as well as we will begin doing some paid advertising on it as well. And we look to partner with folks that are servicing the SMB market. This can be white labeled. So it can be white labeled to fit any person out there who's dealing with SMBs to allow them to take advantage of the system too.
Nice. So we need to wrap soon, but I'll ask also a similar question that I asked Alf. Are there any verticals that you're specializing in or that you're finding?
Yeah, that's a great point. And my boss probably is texting me that right now. Why didn't you say the verticals? Right now, we are focusing in automotive, home improvement, and real estate. We are adding mortgage and insurance. That'll be coming in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Right now, the system, as you see it, is on leads only. Clicks will be launched within the next 4 to 6 weeks as well. And then again, given our strength in having, we have almost every market covered with Merchant Circle. So we'll be launching those, but we're going to do it in chunks. So within the next 6 weeks, we'll have about 5 or 6 verticals up. And then we'll have clicks available on the self-serve model as well.
Nice. Well, it is a very sharp UI, I will say. The tile-based interface, it's all the rage these days.
Well, it's funny, we had this big argument internally because when we visualized it, we drew it on the board and it looked very Windows 8-ish. And I love Windows 8 the way it looks, but then obviously Windows 8 wasn't as successful as everyone wanted it to be. So we had these internal debates over
for reasons other than the UI, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So no, we're really proud of it, and we welcome any questions or anything that anybody has. Please feel free. I'll be around the whole time. So.
Okay, well, we do need to go to the break. Join me in thanking Chris and these other gentlemen.
Thank you.
A few housekeeping notes before you leave. We're now going into a network reception sponsored by YP. Tomorrow morning there's a continental breakfast sponsored by Orange Soda. That's at 7:30. Concurrent to that, there's a before the bell breakfast session on the shift in SMB ad spending, and that's led by a few BIA Kelsey analysts. That's also at 7:30. And then we start back in here at 8:30 a.m., so we hope to see you then. Thank you.